I, 27 male, have known I was adopted since I was 10 and it never really changed my view on anything, and I never really felt the need to search for my birth parents. But 3 years ago, my birth family reached out to me, which consists of my birth parents and my sister Beth. With encouragement from my adoptive parents, I agreed to meet, but things didn't go well. First, I found out that Beth wasn't just my sister, she was my twin sister. My birth parents only wanted one child, and when they found out they were having twins, they decided to put me up for adoption. I will admit that kinda hurt, but that wasn't what made the night go so badly. My birth family was insanely religious. They were super Mormon, and they had a huge issue with a lot of stuff about me. At the time, I had a full tattoo sleeve on my left arm and the beginning of one on my left. Tattoos are forbidden in their religion. I'm gay and married to a man with whom I have 2 kids. This is also forbidden in their faith. I dyed my hair dark teal, also God forbid. Oh, and I'm agnostic. They didn't hesitate to point out how they thought all those things were wrong. My parents tried to play it off like they wanted to help me, but my sister was just rude with her remarks. After the meeting, I decided these were not people I wanted in my life and told them that I wasn't interested in a relationship going further. They took it rather well and we both went on our ways. 3 years later, just last week, they contacted me. It took me a while as I debated opening it, but I ended up doing it. As it turns out, my sister needs a kidney, which is why they reached out to me again. They wanted me to give her a kidney. As bad as this sounds, I had to say no. This isn't even because of how she treated me when we first met. I looked up the process of donating and there are so many risks, and the recovery is long. I just can't put myself in that position. I have a husband and 2 kids. I just can't risk my life for someone I barely know. My birth parent called me a monster. I feel horrible as she could die if I don't, but I have my own family to think about. Am I the idiot for refusing to donate a kidney to my twin sister? Not the idiot. They gave you up, judged your life choices at every turn, and are only reaching out because you have something they want. She's not your sister. They are not your family. You're not spare parts. They are strangers with similar DNA. End of discussion. Absolutely this. They want their family to live but don't care what would happen to his family if he didn't. I'm glad he didn't grow up in that house. It sounds like he has a beautiful life where he can be himself completely. If they have so many problems with his lifestyle, I don't see why they'd want a thing from him anyway. Even if there was an existing relationship and they were incredibly close, living donor situations are an unfathomable commitment. It will be major surgery that will statistically take years off his life. So even for the closest loved one, it's not a decision to be made lightly. I hope OP doesn't lose any sleep over this, because those people haven't lost a second of sleep over him. It's funny how some religious folk pick and choose what is permissible and use it as a stick to beat others with. I'm sure giving up your child is not exactly being a perfect devotee, and they feel it's okay to judge other people's lives. Tell your birth parents that they are the monsters who split up twins, and that this is their consequence. Your sister won't die, she can survive on dialysis for years until a match is found. Kidneys are easier to find, and I'm sure within their Mormon community they can find a living donor match. Also, probably 3 years ago, they already knew that their daughter had issues with her kidney, and that's what made them reach out after many years to have a backup in case things escalated. She won't have needed a new kidney overnight, and they'd have turned up when you were a kid, not 27 years old, if they wanted a relationship. Me, female 32, and my fiancé, male 30, Aaron, have been together for 2 years. I have a high-paying job and work long hours. He used to, a 3-week shift in a job that paid 5 times less than mine. So we're on pretty great terms on everything except money. He's a big spender and spends so much on fancy stuff, although his job doesn't give him this luxury. He constantly likes and wants new stuff like watches, gadgets, electronics, and car accessories, and I do my best to use every occasion like Christmas, birthdays, and New Year to get him what he wants. Lately, and after he lost his job, I've been noticing him tagging along whenever I go shopping and then having me buy him expensive stuff right there and then. I ended up paying to avoid causing a scene in the public because he begged me and then start throwing a fit if I refused. I talked to him about it since it seemed like a pattern, but he said he just happened to see something he liked and thought I could pay for it. I told him that I no longer felt comfortable with this and that the next time he tried to put me on the spot, then have me pay for something he liked, then throw a tantrum if I refused, then I'd walk out and leave him there. He crossed his heart and said he'd never do such a thing. On Wednesday, we went to the mall to get a Father's Day gift for my dad, and we walked by the accessories store. Aaron told me to stop and follow him as he entered the store. I knew this wasn't going well because he repeatedly tried on this watch that was worth over $350 and expressed his admiration for it. He then asked if I could pay for it, but I said no and lied about only having $300 for my dad's gift, which is why we were there in the first place. He started going on and on about how cool and catch the watch was, and then asked if my dad was more important than him. I looked around and saw people looking at us, and he started raising his voice. I told him to knock it off, but he refused and insisted I pay for it. I just turned around and walked out of the store and the mall. I got in my car and went home. He started calling me non-stop, but we didn't talk till he got home. He blew up, saying I reacted ridiculously and selfishly after he begged me and I refused. He said that I then made a joke out of him by walking out and leaving him at the mall. I told him what I said would happen if he decided to put me in this position again. He argued that he was asking for just $350 and even showed me a small notebook saying he's been writing down everything I paid for so he could pay me back, but I was too selfish to even consider it. He yelled at me and then went out to meet his friends. His best friend tried to get involved by shaming me for how I behaved at the mall and hinting that what I was doing was borderline financial control. Am I the idiot? Should I have just paid for the watch? Edit, he said he would pay me back but didn't tell me this at the mall. I don't know if it changes anything since he has no money. Not the idiot. Honey, please don't marry this man. Please don't. He will absolutely ruin your finances, if not your life. But let's be generous and forget the money stuff for a sec. Focus on how comfortable he is with yelling at you in public. He either has a terrible temper or he knows he can manipulate you by causing a scene. Either way, that's horrific and not something you want to suffer for the next 50-ish years. Your guy is using you at worst and a spoiled baby at best. You deserve better, and to keep your hard-earned money. I doubt he intends to get another job while he's got you buying him whatever he wants. He's a gold digger and only got with OP because she has money and can be his sugar mama, and I wouldn't cancel the engagement but the whole relationship because he will not change and will probably just gaslight OP till they give in. Get out now. You're too good for this. The guy is a definite loser. How can you not see that you don't have an adult fiancé? You have a greedy, grasping, temperamental child who manipulates you. Seriously, your story sounds like the story of every mom who takes her toddler shopping, having to put up with demands and tantrums. I think it's time he did something for you, as in making himself absent from your life. You're being manipulated and used, and it will not get any better. My second eldest child has gotten engaged and is in the process of planning her wedding next year. My eldest child and her husband own a ranch and a farm in our neighbouring state. My youngest got married to his wife there. My niece got married to her husband there. I know she's also done the same for one or two of her husband's relatives. My second eldest wanted to have the wedding there. My eldest initially said yes, however she changed her mind when more details about the guest list came in. She was made aware my second eldest daughter would have an extensive guest list. She and her fiancé intend to invite 600 or 700 people to the wedding. Between families, friends and colleagues, they know a lot of people who would attend, plus the staff or catering, setup, and other logistics can quickly bring the total of bodies to 1,000. My eldest has a large property. It can take hours to drive from one end to the other, and on horses or on foot it can take over a day to get there and back. So it would be understandable if she had a normal house that all these people wouldn't fit. However, the property is large. She said any weddings or events have never been more than 100 or so bodies, including staff, and she's never had something so large. Although she's never charged a fee or any money to host the weddings, my second eldest daughter was willing to pay her even though everyone else used it for free. However, my eldest still backed out. A wedding planner will have to charge over the staff, which will take care of any logistics, and has insurance so everything would be controlled. My eldest still is saying no now. My wife and I told her it was wrong to open her space to her brother and others but not her sister, as well as to back out over the guest list size when the property has so much room. My eldest wasn't happy to hear this. She got into an argument about it. I'm disappointed my eldest is denying her sister what so many others have been allowed to enjoy, as the property is a beautiful place for a wedding and they have more than enough room. You are the idiot. 1,000 people is not just a wedding, that's a major event. In fact, where I live, if you have more than 300 people attending anything, you need to have an ambulance on standby. usually a Red Cross or a private agency, but with 1,000 it's probably 2 at least. So where will these people be staying? How many toilets do you legally need to provide? Insurance is definitely an issue because regular insurance will not cover it with that many people. Not to mention the damage that will be done to any grassy areas with 1,000 people walking over it. Jesus, open up your eyes and get a grip. It's impractical and rude even to ask. Am I assuming they have livestock of some kind with that much land? What about them? You'd probably need an environmental impact study done too. That's why you can't just decide to run a festival overnight and require permits. Where will they park? There are so many questions, and the only one we can answer with any certainty is that you are the idiot for even asking her. The daughter who has the property is allowed to limit the people on her property because of damage and liability. You are the idiot for pressuring her to change her mind. It's not your property, so not your call. You are the idiot for not telling the bride she's not actually royalty and doesn't know 1,000 people. Remove her from the pedestal and tell her to scale back to 100 if she wants a free venue. Who even personally knows that many people? The only way I could even send invites to that many people is if I added my first grade teacher's second cousin to the list. But seriously, if they're not family or friends I've spoken to recently, why would they care about my wedding? This whole wedding sounds like an entitled, selfish little girl's gift grab. My husband and I have been together for 7 years, married for 5. He has a son and a daughter from his previous marriage, 18 and a young teen, and we have a toddler daughter together. Although we have some shared expenses, for the most part we keep our finances separate. Custody is shared 50-50 between my husband and his ex regarding the older kids. Long story short, my oldest stepson graduated a couple of weeks ago. He's only ever wanted to go to one school, which happens to be a very specialized and hence very expensive university out of state. He applied and was accepted and got a decent but not phenomenal scholarship from the school itself. Meanwhile, my husband has been encouraging him to look into additional scholarships and potentially ROTC or Air National Guard to help with the remainder of expenses. Unfortunately, my husband's company went under a couple of years ago and he's just beginning to recover financially, so paying out of pocket for his son's tuition is not an option. Unfortunately for stepson, his focus here lately has been on his new girlfriend and not on his academics and scholarships, and he's decided his dad is an idiot when it comes to scholarships and military service and that he'll have to figure it out on his own. All fine and good, except that he hasn't figured it out on his own, and here in the next several months, the university he wants to attend is asking for roughly $25,000 in tuition. After dodging financial conversations and scholarship conversations with my husband for the past 6 or 7 months, he finally came out. He asked his dad how he would be paying for the tuition because the school is starting to ask for deposits, etc. Husband broke it to him that there's no college fund set aside. Apparently, Bio Mom has been telling him there was. I have no idea where she got that idea. Now the whole family is up in arms that my stepson may be unable to go to the school of his choice. Now it's come up that our toddler has a college fund and investment account. Right now it has about $8,000 in it. All of it from me personally depositing money and all of the little cash gifts my daughter receives for Christmas and birthdays, etc. Because of how badly this whole tuition and university situation has exploded, my husband now thinks we should pay for my stepson's stuff with my daughter's money and he will pay me back. The problem is, I've already given my husband a pile of money for other things and I've never gotten it back. So I said no. Am I the idiot for ruining my stepson's university opportunity? Everyone else seems to think so, but I think this should have been discussed and dealt with a long time ago. Not the idiot. Protect that money at all costs. Change whatever passwords you need to, call the bank and ensure you're the only one who can access it. This was the son's mistake, and it isn't unreasonable for him to take on the burden of loans to solve it. Though maybe Bio Mom should be taking out the loans since she's the one who lied about there being a secret account waiting for him. The son has 2 parents. They need to figure it out. Or the son himself, who wanted to do it all by himself but saw his girlfriend as more important. They all had enough time to find a solution and get side jobs, each of them. Why should you pay? It's the money of your child. And what about the rest? And then the next semester? They don't know how to finance his studies at all. My 23 female wedding is at the start of August and I've been confirming RSVPs this weekend to finalise seating and catering, etc. I ended up chatting with one of my uni friends, Bella, 24 female, and we got onto the topic of clothes for the wedding. and Bella was excited to dress up as she hadn't been invited to a non-family wedding before. While we're both British, Bella is ethnically white, whereas I'm South Asian. She said she wanted to wear a sari to my wedding, so I told her a few places she could get a nice one and she went shopping. I did tell her that red was our bridal colour, so it should be avoided. Edit. In my community, you don't wear bridal colours. Now she's saying she fell in love with a red and gold sari and bought it. I told her that red was the colour of my bridal gown and that she needed to find another outfit. She said she's sure it won't matter on the day, but that's the equivalent of someone wearing a white dress to a Western wedding. She refuses to compromise and change her outfit because she loves it so much, and she won't have another occasion in which it's appropriate for her to wear a sari. I don't want someone wearing red and gold on my wedding day. Am I the idiot for uninviting her over this? Not the idiot. She's insisting on wearing a wedding dress to your wedding. She can stay at home and wear it there. You told her beforehand, no red. Yet she went and ignored your instructions. What is it with people knowing the rules and requirements ahead and then ignoring them? Her not having another occasion to wear it is not your problem, and you have nothing to feel bad about. She made it impossible for herself to attend by not following the requirements. That's her doing, not yours. She's very disrespectful. Exactly. I bet she wouldn't demand to wear a white gown to a Western-style wedding simply because she liked white. How incredibly selfish can she be that she bought a sari in the colour you specifically told her not to buy? Then, when you reiterate that she'll be wearing the same colours as your sari, she won't change. She doesn't sound much like a friend to me. Super selfish and entitled. This would be a friendship ender for me, and she'd be uninvited. This woman thinks her feelings of falling in love with the sari she'll never get to wear are more important than the bride's only explicit request. In other words, dressing up is more important to her than being there to support her friend and participate in their culture on their wedding day. Girl, bye.